start now, I won't start ever, so we're gonna start now. Hello, my name's Maddie. If you are new here, kind of like I am also new here, so love that. Get out your lunch, your dinner, your breakfast, your snacks, your popcorn, your sweets, whatever you want. I have dinner, and I'm just ready to get into this wrap up of the books that I read in February. Funny thing, today is the 27th of March, so
you're late.
I'm not gonna lie, kind of feels like February was a really long time ago. Anywho,
Do you know when soccer tryouts start?
let the fun begin.
Hey, time to wake up.
So the first book that I read in February is A Queen Comes to Power, and I was doing a reread for the third book that was coming out. It's by Cece Peñaranda, and it's the second book. It gives off ACOTAR vibes with less spice.
Yes, I can confirm the list is accurate.
Yeah, that's a horrible explanation.
Useless and disappointing.
It's a really good series. The third one just came out this year, but I think there's going to be like 5 books in the series, but I could be mistaken. But I reread it so that I could get a refresher of the series before reading the third one. So
I love them. They're great.
I'm pretty positive I've talked about these books before in another video. I think it was my December wrap-up.
That is not correct.
If I'm wrong, I'll put it somewhere around here. Ooh, so the next series I read was the Mindfuck series by St. Abbey. I did a whole video on that series, and please take it with a couple grains of salt.
My name is Evelyn Salt.
Because obviously it's not for everybody, and I think I should just put it out there that I am not really hard to please when it comes to books. I give everything a pretty high rating, so don't feel like I'm rating books off of like how wonderful the literature is, and just don't take it too seriously, I guess, is what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure I rated every single one of those books like 5 stars except for the 4th one. So yeah, grain of salt, keep it in mind. Next, I was on a bit of a mafia kick. I read the entire Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles. Well, I read the first 6, and this is like a Italian mafia-esque vibe. Each book is going over a different sibling. So like the first book, for example, is about Arya, and then we have like Arya's sister in the next one, and then the next one, because they got like big families. For Bound by Honor, I gave it 4 stars. That was Arya and Luca's story, and it was probably my favorite, I believe, or yeah, out of the Born in Blood Chronicles, that was my favorite. The next one is Bound by Duty, and this is Dante and Valentina's story. I actually really did like this one. It was not a sister of Arya. Valentina is another woman that we meet in the first book briefly, and she is getting remarried because her husband is dead. Dante, that she's going to marry, his wife has also passed, and so they get married. That one was a good one. I gave that one 3.75 stars. But then we kind of go downhill, in my opinion. The next book is Bound by Hatred, and I gave that one 3.5 stars, which sounds pretty good, but literally I only gave it 3.5 stars for Mateo and his bickering, so can't say that I was a massive fan. It's an enemies to lovers, and it's Mateo and Gianna is one of Arya's sisters. Just really wasn't a big fan. It wasn't awful, which is why I gave it the 3.5 stars, but I'm not rushing to go pick it back up, is all I'll say. Next book in the series is Bound by Temptation, and this one is about Liliana and Romero. Liliana is the youngest of Arya's sisters. She basically falls for the bodyguard that is technically Arya's bodyguard, because he comes from Luca's side in the New York area, because I'm pretty positive like Arya's family is like in Chicago, but then she moves to New York for Luca when they get married. Anyway, so Liliana, or Lily, she's sort of been flirting it up with Romero since she probably shouldn't have, since she was like really young. And we see that in the first book, and you're like, girl, what the hell are you doing? Because she like plops down on his lap and she's just being young and dumb and
stupid, ignorant like a child,
and just no comment. I gave that one 3 stars because I think it's like a cute story between the two of them, but I was also cringing a ton. I wish there was more of Romero making the first move, but I understand that he actually knows that like he shouldn't, and Liliana is less mature than Romero, so it makes sense that she was the one like going after him and making moves, but I wish that she was written with a bit more maturity. I don't know how to explain it.
I guess we'll never know.
The next one is Bound by Vengeance, and it's the 5th one in the series, and it's about Growl and Kara. And this is sort of an enemies to lover series, or novel. Novel? That makes it sound so like prestigious. No.
It's a 95 F-150.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look super nice.
So Kara's dad screws up, and basically Kara is given away, hauled off to Growl for her father's actions. And the guy that gives her to Growl is because he thinks it's like gonna be torturous, and that's the whole point. He wants to torture the family, basically, or what's left of it. I gave it 4 stars, and I loved the puppies in this book. I'm pretty sure that's why I gave it the 4 stars, but you know what? It was a good read. I enjoyed it.
Really? No.
The next one was Bound by Love. This is the 6th book in the series, and this one goes back to being about Arya and Luca. And this one was a difficult read because I was so ticked off with the characters. I was a little bit ticked off with Arya, and I was a little bit ticked off with Luca, and so things that spiral up to our main conflict at the end of the book, I was just very upset with how petty one of our characters was being towards the other, but it was also understandable because trust was broken. But at the same time, I'm still pretty pissed off with him for something he did in the very first book. At least I think it was the first book. Yes, pretty positive it was the first book. Continuing our mafia stuff, I read the Kimura Chronicles, which is also by Cora Riley, and I can honestly say I pretty much hated this one in comparison to the Born in Blood series that she did.
Your lips are moving and you're complaining about something. That's whinging.
Ooh. Okay, yes. This is about the mafia in Las Vegas. The first one is about Fabiano and Liana. Fabiano is the youngest brother of Arya from the Born in Blood series. I hated this book. I don't have anything good to say about it. I gave it 1 star. I hated how he acted. Liana deserves better, and
child. Anyway, so
this is a good one. It's Twisted Emotions, and it's about Nino and Kiara, and I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I love the relationship between Nino and Kiara. What's interesting about him is he doesn't really feel emotions, and so he recognizes people's behavior, but he doesn't necessarily feel them for himself. He just sort of trains himself on how he should be reacting to certain situations. I loved Nino. I was so angry at the beginning of the book, but not because of Nino. I was angry because of something that happens to Kiara involving one of her disgusting family members. Then Nino takes matters into his own hands on their wedding day, and I loved it. I love that one of Nino's brothers, or just the relationship that he has with his brothers in general, where they are so close-knit. I was really grateful for one of them sticking up for her in the most subtle possible way, but in a way that really meant something to her on her wedding day when she is marrying Nino. Look up trigger warnings when you're reading the series. Anyways, I loved the relationship between Nino and Kiara, and they were my favorite out of both series. So next one is Twisted Pride. I gave this one 3 stars, 3.75. The thing about this one is it was way too damn long, in my opinion. I don't think it needed to be as long as it was. It was about Remo and Serafina. Remo is kind of the crazy one in the family and steals Serafina on her wedding day. I don't really know how to feel about it.
I know a lot of things, but I don't know about that. I'm not sure why.
The next one is Twisted Bonds, and that one is again about Kiara and Nino, and I gave it 4 stars because I love this couple. There are more books to the series, and I'm really happy that I didn't continue reading them because I don't think I could have handled all of the other men that the books were about. There were 2 more, and there's no bloody way that you could have gotten me to read them. So I stopped after the 4th one, and I gave it 4 stars because it's Kira and Nino, and love that. Love them. Next book I read is The Princess Saves Herself in this one, and this is a poetry book by Amanda Lovelace. I can't say that I enjoyed it, but also maybe I'm just not a poetry person. I gave it 1 star. I just wasn't really a big fan. There were some poems in there that I liked, but for the most part I just kind of felt like it was lines just tabbed out like a Wattpad. Sorry. Oh buddy, I read Harry Potter. I read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because I've never read them before, and you definitely know, hopefully. Gosh, I hope you know what Harry Potter is about. I read the first one and I gave it 5 stars, and I also read Chamber of Secrets, so I read the second one, gave it 5 stars. These books are like classics in my opinion. I'm really happy that I'm reading them. At first I was thinking that it was going to be too late to read them because I've seen the movies a plethora of times and I feel like I can quote them. So I was like, oh no, like if I read it, it's going to be like the same thing almost, because how much extra stuff could there be in the book that there's not in the movies and whatnot, and I was wrong. There is a lot of similarities and even like exact lines that are in the books that are also in the movies, but also there's a lot of random tidbit information that I like. For example, just the different descriptions of the characters that we're able to get in the books. Like when describing Mrs. Dursley, she's described as having a long neck to like croon over the fence to eavesdrop on the neighbors and whatnot. Just like funny stuff like that. Next book I read was Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I gave this one 3 stars. This is kind of like an offshoot to the Caravel trilogy, and I enjoyed that series. I read it in 2020. I liked Jax a lot, which is who this book is about. Well, it's supposed to be about. This book is about Jax and Evangeline. I was just disappointed because I felt like we got more of Evangeline than we did of Jax, and I thought it was like his book, his story, so we were gonna like hear a lot about him, but I felt like we got a lot more of Evangeline than we did of Jax. So I was just kind of disappointed about that. It kind of reminded me of The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, because The Heart Principle is about Quan and can't even remember the girl's name. Gosh, it's been a while since I read that one. But basically, I thought that book was mainly going to be about Quan, and then it ended up being more about his partner that he ends up having in that book. Just disappointed because I wanted more of the main guy, because the book was originally portrayed as going to be about them. So I'm going into it thinking it's going to be about the King of Hearts, or Prince of Hearts, which is Jax in this story, and I felt like we got more of our heroine than we did him, and I wanted him. So yeah, not my favorite. Yeah, another thing about it was I felt like it was a bit predictable in certain instances, and so it kind of made it a little boring because I'm like, oh damn, I know like what's gonna happen. It's kind of obvious sort of thing. So that kind of sucked too. But anyways, this next book is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This is basically the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, her villain origin story. Her name's Catherine in the book instead of like the Queen of Hearts. I gave it 4.5 stars, okay? Just wait. I loved the book, but I was so pissed off because I like happy endings to my books, what can I say? And I know that I set myself up for failure because, like, you know it's a villain. You know it's a villain origin story going into it. Because it's literally practically written on there. Like, you know it's the Queen of Hearts, and you know she's miserable in Alice in Wonderland, and this is what made her miserable. So much happened in this book. I was very upset because I really liked our love interest. Catherine's love interest was just in the book. Shit happens where I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I was so angry with her in one of the scenes where she's in like a maze, and if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about, but this book was a doozy. I loved it because after reading it, I was like, alright, I gotta like watch Alice in Wonderland so that I can like see them again and be able to compare things that are in the movie that are also in the book, like the reason why the queen wants red roses instead of white roses. Like, then you see like, why is that? And just like little stuff like her crown and like what it looks like a Joker hat, and I just also the second Harry Potter, I actually read that in March, but I just combined it in this video. So that was my February wrap up. This is extremely late and well overdue, but you know, better late than never. Here we are. I hope you enjoyed listening to the books that I read. Hopefully I can condense this video down because it is quite hefty right now because I don't know how to be concise with my words. So here we are. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like or subscribe or comment if you've read any of the books or you're planning to read any of the books. My March what I read will hopefully be out a lot sooner than this one. Like, hopefully it won't be the end of April when I actually pop that baby out, but
Anyway,
I was thinking of doing a reaction video to the Yellowstone show. I've never seen it before, but I'm watching 1883 right now and I'm absolutely loving it. The Western Times is not my thing normally, so that's why I never watched Yellowstone. And then I randomly walked in on my mom watching 1883 and I was like, this is interesting. And then I got into it, but typically I don't like Western films and stuff. It's just not my vibe. But I was trying to find books that give me that 1883 vibe. It's not going well. So that's probably not going to happen. We're just going to have to stick to rewatching the show. But if you know any, then drop a comment and let me know. And I'll give it a shot. Because I was looking online for quite some time, trying to see if I could find something similar. But yeah, no. It's not happening. Thank you for watching again. And I'll see you next time.